Hi, I'm Holly from Flow Movement Therapy, where I empower you to feel better in your body by helping you move better. And today, another video by request on a specific muscle. This is the glute med, or the gluteus medius muscle. So we're going to talk through what the glute med is, what it does in your body, and then give you some warm-ups and some exercises to help fire that muscle a little bit better, and then wrap things up. So let's get started. So let's talk about where your glute med is and why, what kind of things we need to do with your body in order to get it the feedback that it needs. So our glute med is attached at the top of your pelvis, and it runs from the top of your pelvis down onto your femur, or your big leg bone. And so that tells us that it has an involvement with both your pelvis and your big leg bone. We want them both to move to give feedback to your glute med. So let's talk about the movements forward and back, side to side, and rotating that help give us the feedback in your QL. So starting with our forward and back motions. If you tilt your pelvis forward, so that's getting an increase in the curve in your lower back, then we're going to get length across the back of the glute med. So that's going to pull the fibers from the top. If you take the fibers of where the pelvis is at the top and you take them forward, that's going to stretch them across the top and back there of your glute med. And then if you take your hip and when you bend your knee, you're flexing your hip, so you're taking the angle between your pelvis and your leg bone and you're bringing them together, then that's going to stretch along the portion of your glute med that's down, that wraps around onto the top of your femur. So if we do both of those together, you tilt your pelvis forward, you bend your knee and flex your hip up, then it's going to bring length across the whole length of your glute med. Now the second one will be our side-to-side motions. So if you tilt your pelvis so you're lifting up that side of the pelvis, you're going to be getting stretch along the top of that glute med. And then at the same time, if you take that femur and you bring it in towards the midline, you're going to be stretching along that part of the muscle that is at stretches onto the femur. So taking your pelvis up on that side and bringing your leg in towards the midline is going to stretch the whole length of that glute med. And then with our rotations, so if you rotate your pelvis in one direction and then you take your femur and you rotate it a little bit less in that direction, so you're doing a barbershop pole type of action, then you're going to get a stretch, like a towel being stretched like this throughout the length of the glute med. So as you rotate your pelvis more than your femur, you're going to get stretch along the length of the muscle that runs from the pelvis to your femur. So we want to be able to do all three of those things, as well as the shifting of your pelvis side to side. So that's also going to be your side to side motion. It's also going to give you that stretch that you're going to get in your glute med. So we're going to talk through, I'm going to give you a warm-up and three movement drills to help you see what movement you might be missing in your QL, or sorry, your glute med. So we're going to sit on one side of your glutes, whichever one you like, and we're going to put our knees at 90 degrees. So 90 degrees at the front knee, 90 degrees at the back knee, and this is going to be our setup. So we're going to have you propping up your hands behind you. We're going to sit nice and tall with your torso, and this is like windshield wipers, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll across to sitting on the other glute and rolling all the way around to the other side. But I want to keep that 90-90 with my feet as I go. So trying to keep your feet where they are, not sliding around, and keeping them where they are and getting that nice mobility in your hips as you go back and forth. I am going to take a step forward, and as I do that, I will plant my foot and I'm going to reach for the ground. As I reach for the ground, that's going to cause my pelvis to have no choice but to tilt forward. It's going to look like this. I'm going to go straight forward and then come back up to standing. So I'm going to go forward, reach as far as I can, and then come right back up again. Reaching for the ground and seeing if I can get my hands going before my body so that I'm tilting my whole torso forward and taking my pelvis along for the ride. You're going to stand on one foot in the middle of the box, and you're going to take your other foot and you're going to tap the floor behind you, or as around the corner and to the side towards the floor. And what that's going to do is cause your pelvis to tilt to the side. And what we want to make sure we're doing is not putting your weight on that foot. We're merely tapping the ground and putting the least amount of weight as we can on that side. And here, this is tilting my pelvis down to the side. We're calling this one tap out clocks, because you're going to be tapping like the directions on the times on a clock. So we're going to start off with your, I'm on my right leg, so we're going to put 100% of our weight onto that leg. As we tap our other leg in different directions, we want to put no weight onto that other leg. For now, we're going to try to stay as upright as we can, so no leaning as we're doing the tap outs. I'm going to tap my free leg as far away from my body as I can without leaning to deal with it. So tapping to the different directions on the clock. So I'm tapping straight forward, I'm tapping to 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. I'm going to run out of room, but you want to tap straight back. When you get to 6, you're going to tap straight back. We're also going to go round the corner like a curtsy, and then you're going to come all the way back around, so counterclockwise, bending your knee and coming back to standing in between each tap. Our next exercise for the glute med will be tilting your pelvis and doing a little bit of a arm reach to help out with those movements. So we want to have one foot in front of the other. So the glute med you want to work on is going to be the front hip. And so what we want to do here is, as you bring your body weight forward, we want to lift up on that side to get length across that glute med. And so one way to help with that is to get your spine involved with that. So in order to get that nice curve that's going along in your back to facilitate this, we want to make sure that you're bending to the left to facilitate this movement. So in order to do that, if I have my left leg forward, I'm going to reach my right arm up to help me get that hiking with that lateral flexion of my ribs together. So as I come forward, I'm going to reach up to the ceiling, and it's going to help me with that hiking up of my pelvis. And then the other thing we can do with our rotations, getting the rotations in our pelvis and our leg, is to bring my arm around behind me. So that's going to rotate my rib cage as I let my pelvis rotate to the right. So that's going to get that rotation in your glute med. So you can put the two of them together if you want, or one at a time, getting that side bending or getting the rotation to get your glute med that feedback that it needs. I hope those were useful for you. A little bit of a teaser on how to figure out what's going on with your glute med. So we want to be able to tilt the pelvis. We're able to flex the hip at the same time. We want to be able to get that pelvis lifting up as your leg comes in towards the midline or shifting back and forth. And we want to get that oppositional rotation going on. We want to be able to do all three of those things. And make sure you're trying it on both sides to see which glute med might need a little bit more feedback. If you like those exercises and you want to explore a little bit more in your body, I'd be happy to help you out. I have free 30-minute sessions online. You can book those via the link in the description bar below. I can take a look for you and see what's going on with your glute med. Hey, if you like my content, 3 easy ways to support my channel. The first one is to like the video so that more people get shown my content. The second way is to subscribe, because then more people get to see my content. And if you like what I have to say, comment below and I will do my best to make videos to support what you need. Thank you.